Friday, May 19. The reason provided to worship God is that he is the creator. We read in The Closing of the Cosmic Conflict, Role of the Three Angels' Messages, an unpublished manuscript written by Angel Manuel Rodriguez. Let's start that again. The reason provided to worship God is that he is the creator. In the heavenly liturgy, celestial beings express the idea in a very succinct way. For you created all things, in Revelation 4:11. On earth, God's creatorship needs to be emphasized as much as possible. So the angel says, worship him who made the heaven and the earth and sea and springs of waters, Revelation 14:7. It has been correctly indicated that the angel is using the language of the fourth commandment to justify the call to worship God. Within the Decalogue, the Sabbath commandment stands as its seal in that it identifies who God is, the Creator, confirms the territory over which he rules, everything he created, and reveals his right to rule, for he created everything. In order for the dragon to succeed, he had somehow to set aside this memorial. End of quote. And that brings us to our 4 discussion questions for this week. 1. How does the message of the Sabbath answer the great questions of life, such as, where did I come from? Why am I here? And what is my eternal destiny? 2. Dwell on the marvel of creation. Dwell on the miracle of your own existence in this vast universe. What should the fact that the prime memorial of this creation, the Sabbath, comes to us as opposed to us going to it every week without exception, teach us about how important the doctrine of creation is? 3. In Daniel 3 and Daniel 6, how do you see the issue of worship being played out in these inspired accounts? What is found in these accounts that can help us prepare and anticipate the challenge God's faithful people will face during the crisis around the mark of the beast? And 4. How do we show someone who believes in the millions, even billions of years of evolution as the means of creation, the irrationality of keeping the seventh-day Sabbath as a memorial to that creation? And here's Sibylla with our inside story. Thank you, Sibylla.
Quandary of Two Books by Clifford Goldstein. When I grew up in a secular Jewish home, the essence of my religious experience could be summed up by how we kept the holidays. They tried to kill us, they failed, so let's eat. Nevertheless, I was always a seeker for truth. In the fall of 1979, my seeking took me down the path of the occult and spiritualism. I even had a few experiences with astral travel. Not knowing the source of these experiences, only that they were real, I decided to start reading about them. Thus, I walked over to the library at the University of Florida to get a book on the occult and started delving deeper into it. At that point, I was a hungry writer who needed a job. As I was walking to the library, I stopped at a health food store in order to ask for work. A man came out, and as soon as I said something about the supernatural, he blurted out, "What?" He dragged me into the store and locked the door. After I told him about my experiences, he tried to warn me about demonic influences. Well, he might as well have talked to me about Santa Claus as about the devil. Before I left, he handed me a book and said, "Please read it." Thus, with his book in hand, I went over to the University of Florida library and found an occult book. Because I wasn't in school, I could not check it out. So I sat down in the library, read the first chapter, and even practiced the first technique, all of which was very new to me. Then I went and hid the book on the shelves so that I could be sure that no one would check it out before I was done reading it myself. Anyway, here's the rub. I was walking through the library with the 2 books. In one hand, I had, for the first time in my life, this book on the occult. In the other, for the first time in my life, I had the book that the man in the health food store gave me. One book in one hand, one book in the other. Occult book in one hand, and what was in the other? The Great Controversy. At the time, I was clueless as to what was unfolding around me. A few days later, after an amazing confrontation with the Lord, I gave my heart to Jesus, and those occult experiences never came back. Soon afterward, I read The Great Controversy, a life-changing experience. No question, the Lord arranged for this powerful, timely, and important book to come into my life. Yes, I was a seeker for truth, and I found so much of it there. Join the global church in 2023 and 2024 in the mass promotion and distribution of the Great Controversy. Visit greatcontroversyproject.org for more information or ask your pastor. Clifford Goldstein is a prolific author and has served as an editor of the Adult Sabbath School Bible Study Guide since 1999.
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.